Hi, I'm Nick Paganella, and I'm the producer of Veterans Corner TV. And I'm excited to introduce this special segment about an exciting new book, Cloudbusters 9 by Ann Keene. It outlines how Major League players enlisted and trained to be Navy pilots in World War II. Among them were Ted Williams, Johnny Pesky, Johnny Sane, and more, who were assigned to Navy Pilot Training Center in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. The author's father was the Bat Boy. Here, we've got Dave Hornfischer, host of Framingham Fan to Fan, to help narrate the story.
Thanks, Nick. I'm always excited when my sports interest intersects with another part of Access Framingham TV's program schedule.
Well, Dave, what got you interested in this story in the first place?
Well, my son, Jim Hornfischer, was the agent for the book, and he helped Ann Keene, an Austin author, put together the book. And when he told me a little bit about the book, I said, I've really got to get Ann to Boston to get her in front of the Bo Sox Club, the Red Sox fan club. And I also thought it would be great while she was here if she could do a Framingham talk at the Barnes & Noble store at Shoppers World. Ann did that, and I'm pleased to have this segment to show some of Ann's talk as well as some of the exciting pictures in this great book.
The Navy publicist took pictures of everything, and I've got a lot of those on my slides here. And this was in the scrapbook. This is my dad when he passed away. This picture is out there, like you might see it somewhere, like in a, maybe a baseball sports library, but if you don't mind, I'll go through some of these now. That's my father with Johnny Pesky as a child when he was the bat boy for the base. He must have liked Pesky because
loved him. He would have picked him right up.
Yeah. And he told me all these stories before I knew much about baseball about Johnny Pesky and how he was a quick guy, but always very positive, and always, you can do this, and this is how you need to keep trying.
Oh, wow.
He gave him this sense of, I guess, invincibility as a child. And see, my dad, look what he's reading. Look at this. Captain Marvel. So to my father, this was a Captain Marvel kind of story. And that gets in you. When you're a little kid, you never forget it. So when he passed away, I wanted to honor him, and I just started finding more pictures. Now this is a very common picture. It's very famous. The reason it's in my archives is because this was taken when Ted was at pre-flight school, and they let him out for 2 days. He could only leave for 48 hours. He had to be on and off base really quickly. There's another one. This card was inspired at Amherst College at his very early training stages.
That was his early training, right?
Yeah. So this next one, though, that's Chapel Hill based. You know, these came back later. This is a Fleer card. I think it was from 1959. But if you read it, talks about Navy pre-flight school. So again, it's before he was behind the controls of these fast planes. Now, Chapel Hill. It's like a mini naval academy dropped in the middle of a college campus, and they even had their own airport the size of LaGuardia. That is one of the reasons that Chapel Hill was picked as a Navy pre-flight base, because it had its own airport 2 miles up the road. Now, this is the St. Mary's base, but this is basically what it looked like 15, 16 hours a day. They were just out in the training fields, like a watch, constantly, playing soccer, running, doing obstacle courses, and they actually made their own equipment. And you can see this here. They made their own aerial wheels out of scrap iron. They logged their own timber. They made their own commando courses. Well, they got the bats. They were donations from the sporting goods. They had the very, very, very good sporting goods. They had bats, balls, whatever kind of equipment they needed was donated. So here is another icon, or it's another collectible that I came across, and again, from my father's perspective, these guys were the heroes, and they used sports to train the fighter pilots. And again, you start looking for it and you see it everywhere. These guys were coaches in Chapel Hill, and the way I describe it is everywhere you look, there's an Olympian, there is a world champion.
Where was Crowley? Is he Notre Dame?
He was Notre Dame. He was one of the Four Horsemen.
That's
and there's
right.
Bernie Bierman.
That's right.
Otto Graham. And then there's Charlie Gehringer there, the Detroit Tigers, who became a Hall of Famer. Now, the reason I was able to write this book in the first place is because Chapel Hill has like a time capsule of all these pictures. This is important. Now, what you see are just 4 boys, but they split the professional baseball players up. We've counted 23 major league players who came through and trained either as coaches or cadets in Chapel Hill. They split them up because they wanted them to focus on their training and sleep. Like, they didn't put Johnny and Ted in the same room. In fact, they didn't even put them on the same floor.
Wow.
And that was by design. That's in all the records. There you go.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
For balance, G-force.
God bless
I have videos of them rolling through campus on these area wheels.
Oh,
Throwing them all the way down.
But I mean, it's out there. You know, we just found them last year from Movie Tone. Now, this is a famous picture. You guys all know this, but it was just taken within that time frame. He was at pre-flight. And in my book, I talked to as many surviving major league players that I could find. And yeah, there are only 41 today from World War II. That's my count, 41.
Right.
So I asked all of them, you know, what did that feel like to pause your career, to leave baseball, to serve your country? And there was no feel, there was no anything. I mean, what do you think they said to me? What do you think their response was? Every one of them.
What was the question?
The question was, how did that make you feel when you had to stop playing baseball to serve your country?
I did it for my country.
That's it. They go, it didn't feel, it's just what we did. It was just this automatic response of, and your father said that. He goes, we didn't sit around and talk about it. We just did it. We were proud to do it.
Well, they walked down to a recruiting station and signed up.
Absolutely.
They weren't even drafted.
Yeah, they did. They did. And they just did it again. Like Bobby Brown said, you wanted to serve. You were proud to serve. So this is, Ted was allowed to leave, and oftentimes with these games, the press would write a story about, oh, they're going to play the cameo Hosiery and Ted is going to be here next week. Well, sometimes he wasn't there because the Navy would keep him on base. And so that was another theme of the book, is you never really knew what was going to happen. And then when they do play in this Yankeelands game, it was, the media kept saying he's not going to be there because his commander said he's not going to be able to go. We're not going to let him leave town to play in this game. So there were some issues about Navy publicity. They never wanted it to appear that some of these star players were getting special treatment, and they really weren't. But regardless of that, he obviously did travel and make this. But sometimes it was up until the last minute he was going to be on the bus or not. They never really knew.
And this was a picture taken at the game in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
And Ruth managed the visiting team, right? The
Well,
Yankees.
that was Yankeelands. This, I think, this was in Boston. This was that All-Star
Oh, that's
game.
the other game in
That
Boston.
was the hitter game.
That's the one Dick
Here.
Flavin tells the poem about.
Yeah, I think it was July 12th. They let
Yeah,
him
they had a
out.
home run hitting contest.
Yes.
And
yes.
Ruth hit one, and then he hit one off his foot, and he got hurt, and he had to leave.
And he got very upset
And
about
Ted
that.
Ted
You
hit 3
there,
home
David?
runs. Yeah, I was. I was. I had a good seat.
So you
Tickets were
substitute.
cheap.
When Dave went down, you got up.
I volunteered to take his place. There were many more great photos in the book that weren't included in Ann's talk. Let's see some of them. Training was tough. They did survival exercises in the southern jungles. They dug ditches. They did strength training. And they did complex pilot training classes. After all that, it was time for baseball practice, and often a long bus ride to another town in the Carolinas. Ted and the team coach, Don Kepler, became lifelong friends because of their mutual interest in fishing. Here's Ted, Johnny Pesky, and Dom DiMaggio, who was training at another naval facility. While Ted and the baseball players are the focus of the book, a large number of other celebrities were involved in training programs at other sites in Norfolk, Iowa, and California. Here's a few more photos of some of them. Here's John Glenn posing with a young boy who turned out to become a famous 21st century admiral, Michael Holland. Here's Bear Bryant with his famed checkered hat. He helped coach football at the site. Johnny Carson's future host Ed McMahon was an enlistee, as was TV star Dennis Weaver, known better as McCloud. Here's an interesting fact uncovered by Ann, that Ted Williams and future President George Herbert Walker Bush enlisted at the same recruitment station, Boston, in the same week. Here's an office list with their names highlighted. Ted also participated in other sports at the facility. Here's one of him playing football, and here's another one of him boxing. We hope you enjoyed this special Veterans Corner segment about Ted Williams and the Navy Pilot Training Facility at Chapel Hill, North Carolina, as chronicled in Ann Keene's book, The Cloudbuster 9. The book is available online and in bookstores near you.